Hello everyone, it's me Sarah. Welcome to my channel Curious Cuttlefish. Today we are going to start part 1 of our crochet along for the Ebbing Tides shawl. Hello everyone and welcome to my series on how to make my Ebbing Tides shawlette. I have the pattern right here, and if you would like to purchase the PDF of the pattern, I have it in my Etsy shop. I will be doing a discount code for all of you who subscribe to my channel and watch and would like to have the PDF download. That will be Cuttlefish shawl. And so if you use that, I'll put the words up above, the pattern will just be $2 for you guys. So I believe that's like $3 or $4 off the price that I have in my shop. If you are interested in having the actual printout, I will be going over this whole pattern and how to make it. So let me start with the supplies that you need. I use a 5mm crochet hook, and I used 1 cake of Hirschner's Pastry Petite. It was about 364 yards. That's what I used for the shawlette that I had originally designed. Because I don't have another one of those cakes readily available, I am using this Yarn Bee Comfy Cozy. This is 485 yards, which works. You need to use a light 3-weight yarn. So something like this, any light 3-weight yarn would work. You can even use like a Lion Brand mandala. So you can gather your supplies, and today I'm going to be going over the first, I'm going to be going over the first 7 rows. So 7 to 8 rows, and I'm going to be doing about that many rows each week, and by the end of this month we'll have completed shawls. I would love to see what you guys create with this. Super excited to have my first crochet along. So I hope you enjoy, and let me get my camera all set up and we will begin on the tutorial section. Okay everyone, so we're right here. I have my yarn and my hook. I am going to be starting with a magic ring. So let's see if I can get my camera a little bit closer and more focused. Let's see. Now I'm learning how to record these, so we'll see how this works. Alright, so I'm going to be starting off with doing a magic ring. You can either do a magic ring or chain 6 and join. So I will be doing a magic ring. So let me just grab that there. I usually just do as if I'm tying a knot and then pull up a loop on my hook. That is how I start off my magic ring. And now we're going to do row 1. So if you're doing the magic ring, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to double crochet 2. 1, 2. We're going to chain 2. 1, 2. And then do 3 double crochets. So there's 1, yarn over, through the center. There's 2, yarn over, through the center, and here is 3. So this is all in your magic ring or your chain 6 loop that you created. I am going to pull my tail so that this is all now nice and tight. So we have right here, this is what we're starting off at. So that was row 1. Now we're going to flip and start row 2. Let's see, I have to hold it right about there. Okay. row 2, we start off with a chain 3 and 2 double crochets into that first stitch. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3 chains, yarn over, we're going to do 2 double crochets into that first stitch where the chain came out of. So there's 1 and 2. So that's into the first stitch. And now we are going to double crochet in each stitch until we hit our chain 2 space. So for right now, that's these 2 double crochets. So we're going to do a double crochet in each. So there's 1. Now we're going to go a double crochet in this next stitch. And now we're at the chain 2 space. So once we hit the chain 2 space, we are going to do a double crochet in the chain 2 space, chain 2, 1, 2, and then another double crochet into our chain 2 space. So there's 1, oh yes, that's right. And now we're going to repeat what we just did on this side on the other side right here. So again, I'm trying to figure out, okay, right there. So right here, we are going to be doing a double crochet in each of these next 2 double crochets. So there's 1, there's another one in the following. So now we're at the end. So we are going to be doing 3 double crochets into the last stitch. And you are going to become very familiar with this row because I use this row many times throughout this shawlette. So we're going to do our 3 double crochets in that last one. Alright, so that was row 2. Now we're going to move on to row 3. So let's flip and turn. So here we are at row 3. We are going to chain 3 and 2 double crochets into that first stitch. So this chain 3 right here is counting as our first double crochet. So then when we do the 2 more double crochets into that first stitch, that is the same as the 3 double crochets that we do into the last stitch right at the end. Okay, so now we're going to do 2 double crochets. Oh, nope, it's going to be a single crochet, a treble crochet, single crochet, treble. So we're alternating. So we're going to start off with a single crochet into that next stitch. Then we're going to do a treble crochet, which is where you wrap your hook twice with the yarn, and then it's similar to a double crochet. We pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So there's our treble. So in this next stitch here, we're going to do a single crochet, then we're going to do another treble crochet, then our single crochet, and now we are at our chain 2 space, and in our chain 2 space we do a double crochet, we chain 2, and then we follow with another double crochet, all made into our chain 2 space. So here we ended on a single crochet before we did our center, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do a single crochet into this one, followed by a treble crochet into the next one, then another single crochet, treble crochet, there we go, and then a single crochet right here. Oops, I'm moving my hands around while I'm working on this. Okay, so now we're at our chain 3 right here. That counts as our last stitch. So we are going to do our 3 double crochets into the top of this chain 3 space. So there we go. It's like it's a stitch, so we need to do 3 double crochets. There's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. So if you did this right, this should be giving you a slight texture now appearing on row 3. So let's turn. We are going to be starting row 4, and so from here on out all of our even rows are going to be just like row 2. So we are going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. We are going to do 2 double crochets into that first stitch. So here's 1, here's 2, and now we're going to double crochet in each stitch until we reach our chain 2 space. So that's all we do down each side. We're going to be doing our double crochets into, oops, okay, so now here I pulled my hook out. I just need to find these last 2 loops and then re-yarn over and pull through. Yeah. So I'm just going to continue my double crochets into each stitch all the way until I reach that chain 2 space. Here's this last one. Okay, so now I'm at my chain 2 space. Just like all of my previous rows, I am going to be doing a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, all into that chain 2 space. And now down the same side, or not the same, down the next side, it's the same as the side I had before. We are going to a double crochet in each stitch all the way until I reach the last stitch. So okay, let's get a little more yarn out. And here we are at that last stitch. So just like all the previous rows, we are going to do 3 double crochets into that final stitch. So there's 2 and finally 3. Okay, and with that we have finished row 4. So again, we're going to flip and start row 5. Alright, so with row 5 we are going to, just like all the other rows, we're chaining 3, 1, 2, 3, 2 double crochets into that first stitch, 1, 2, and for row 5 we are going to start with a treble crochet, and then we're going to do our single crochet. So every other, we're alternating from treble to single. So yarn over twice, we're going to do a treble crochet, followed by a single crochet, and we're going to alternate our trebles and our singles in each stitch. So treble, single, treble, single, treble, and single. And we're going to just keep doing this pattern of treble and single crochets all the way until we reach that center chain 2 space. So a nice thing to note while you're working this pattern is if you started off with a treble crochet, that means your last stitch before the center should be a treble crochet. If you started off with a single crochet, your last stitch before you meet the center should be a single crochet. So here we are, we're back at the chain 2 space. So we are going to do a double crochet, chain 2, and another double crochet right into that chain 2 space. We ended on a treble crochet, so of course right here we are going to be starting on a treble crochet, and then we're going to go back to the opposite end, alternating, starting off with our treble crochet, then doing a single crochet, back to a treble crochet, and then back to a single crochet, and so on and so forth all the way until you reach the end of this row. So let me just get to the end of this row. Oops, see, I just did a treble, so that means I need to do a single. And here's our treble, and then a single, treble, single, and let's see, yeah, treble. We want to end on a treble. And then we're at our last stitch again, so we are going to be doing 3 double crochets right into that end like we have been doing all along. So there's 1, 2, 3 double crochets. Alright, so that was row 5, and if you remember, every other row that we do, we're going to be repeating our row number 2. So for row 6, it's just like row 2. We are going to be chaining 3. 1, 2, 3. 2 double crochets into that first stitch. 1, 2. And now we're going to do double crochets all the way until we hit the center, where we do a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and then we do a double crochet across this whole side, and then 3 double crochets at the end. So I'm going to fast forward for you guys and then start row 7. Okay, so I just finished row 6, just like row 2, right? I just did my 3 double crochets into the last stitch. So now we're ready to start row 7. And so with row 7, we are going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, right there, okay. Chain 3, 2 double crochets into the first stitch. So here's 1 and 2. Then we are going to chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. And we're going to follow this pattern for this side. So it's a chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. And that's how we are going to follow the pattern for row 7. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. So let me just continue this down the side. of this shawl. So we should end with a double crochet right before that chain 2 space. So right here we're back at the center. So just like all of the other centers, we are going to double crochet, chain 2, and another double crochet into that space. So because right here we ended on a double crochet, we are going to start this first stitch as a double crochet as well. So we're going to do a double crochet, and then we fall back into our pattern. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. And we're just going to keep following this pattern all the way down this second side. And then once we get to the end, just like we have in all of the previous rows, we're going to end with the same 3 double crochets into that last stitch. But remember, because we started off with our chain 1, and now I'm thinking that I missed one because I'm not ending on a chain 1 right before that 3. It makes me want to do a double crochet there. So I must have skipped. Let's see. Skip one, skip one, skip one, skip one, skip one, skip one. Here, I did my 3 and I skipped the first one. So let's, and this is what happens when you're not sure if you got all the right stitches. So let's count. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 before this pair. So this one should also have 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which means I should have one more. So either I skipped one in the row previously. Let's see if I can find it. I did skip one in the row previously. Okay, well, either you can pull it all out, which I am not going to do, in order to make it back to what it should be. I just need to do a double crochet, chain 1, and then I'm going to do my 3 double crochets. Just need to double check and make sure I did my post right. So there's the center. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on this side. On the opposite side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes. So now it will be even. I just did my chain 1 so that I have my chain 1 before my 3 double crochets. And this is something that you can learn whether you want to make your patterns perfectly, or if you're okay with just making your numbers proper so that your stitch count will fall back into place. I usually just make my stitch count fall back into place. So if those things ever come up for you, I would not call myself a perfectionist, but again, I lost count in the row before and didn't do all my stitches, but just to make sure that this one is correct, I just did a chain 1 space and then my 3 in the last, even though I'm missing a stitch. But now all my stitches for this row are even, and so it will still come out even. And unless you are a crocheter, I'm probably not going to be gifting this to a crocheter, you won't be able to tell or even figure out where that mistake is. It'll all look the same to most people. So now let's move on to row 8, and row 8 is another one of our easy rows. It is just like row 2, so it is a simple, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to do 2 double crochets into that first stitch. 1, 2, and then we're going to do a double crochet into each stitch all the way to the center. And now each stitch here, so here's our, we're doing our double crochets into each stitch. Now we'll see that we have our chain 1 spaces from the row before. We're going to be doing a double crochet into each of those chain 1 spaces, and then each of the double crochets from the previous row. Because if you think about it, we were skipping stitches, so those chain 1 spaces count as a stitch. So in order to finish our row number 8, we are going to just be working a double crochet into each chain 1 space and each double crochet from the previous row. And again, we're going to be working this all the way until we hit our center chain 2 space, and then we'll do our typical double crochet, chain 2, and double crochet into that chain 2 space. So you will get very familiar with row 2 working on this shawlette. It's one that is used throughout this whole pattern. Makes it very nice and easy that all of the even rows work up similarly. So I'm just going to continue along this side. I will show you the center one last time, and then I'll bring you guys back once I have finished row 8 I am almost to the center. Again, these are all just double crochets into each of the stitches and chain 1 spaces. So here we are at the center. Remember, there was 2 double crochets in a row right before we hit the center from the previous row. So now we're at our center. It's our double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet. And now along this side we're going to do precisely the same thing, 1 double crochet in each stitch and every chain 1 space. Oh, right here, I see where I messed up. There it is. I didn't skip one. That's where it was. Anyways, so there is, I'm going to continue doing my double crochets in each stitch, and then at the very end, again, we're going to be doing 3 double crochets into that chain 3, the top of that chain 3 turn, because that counts as a stitch, and I will bring you guys back. So thank you for joining me for part 1 of our Ebbing Tides Shawlette cowl. This is how far we got today. We have our first 8 rows, and yes, so hopefully you found it helpful. Oh, I'm holding the wrong side up now that I'm looking at it. Texture's on this side. Hopefully you found this helpful. I decided not to edit out the part where I made a mistake because I thought it'd be really good for you guys to see how I correct my mistakes, and what I do when I come across them. So this is as far as we got this week. Next week I will be doing another 8 rows. We'll be doing 8 rows a week all the way until the end of this month, and you will have your completed shawlette. So this is the first part. We have this nice textured area up here, and we have our first eyelet section, and then next week we'll do the next 8 rows. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for joining me for this cowl. I am so excited for this month of doing tutorials. Thank you for bearing with me as I am figuring out how to work my camera, where to hold my hands, and how to talk and crochet and teach you guys. I am very much so enjoying learning this process, and I hope that you guys are learning something new along with me. I hope you enjoy the patterns that I will be putting out, and I shall see you all soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.